Hi there. Good evening. I started recording this and just started drawing the cards. I was commenting a little bit on the reading from last night, and then all of a sudden the recording stopped. So I apologize, but the draw is not going to be on this video. Very sorry. Never mind. Sorry, not sorry. It is what it is. We got the first card to come out. Actually, these two came out together, and one was the Four of Swords, and then the other was the Chariot. So the Chariot is a major arcana card. It's the 11th, no, 8th, 7th. Hello. 7th card in the major arcana. 7 is a sign of actually spirit, of intuition, which is something that we cultivate when we are doing a regular practice of meditation. Talked about that a lot in last night's reading. That Two of Wands that came up. In fact, I even spoke about this card, like, how there was this, I was definitely feeling that vibe. And the Four of Swords card is, in this, if you notice, there's another Nautilus behind this person. We talked about the Nautilus. Go ahead and check out last night's reading. When we are cultivating practices of meditation, what happens is we are much better able to drive our lives, be in leadership of our lives, and instead of just kind of like flying around with the emotions, we're actually harnessing logic, and we are doing that here in this card as well. So the suit of swords is the suit of communication. It is this sort of talking, of communicating, it is this of intuition as well. It is, hopefully at its best, you're utilizing your intuition and communicating well. And the only way to do that, though, because we can sit around and say a lot of things, but they're not really that meaningful, and they're not authentic to who we are. And the suit of swords actually is about truth. So at its best, we are utilizing our communication authentically. And when we are, and what this particular card shows, it shows that the swords are above her head, but they're in a neutral position. They're not pointing down. They're not there in any kind of threatening way. So instead of kind of being held hostage by our thoughts, our attitudes, our memories, we are actually taking one of them and placing it over our heart, like in a way of saying, I'm going to harness, this is that Chariot card, harness my thoughts to be in service of the heart, into the service of the heart connection with all that is, with things that are bigger than me, with getting to the truth, like diving in, drilling down into the truth of who I am. Maybe I'm piercing my own heart in order to do that. When we dive into the things that break our heart, or where our heart is broken, to get to the essence, the core of why a situation did that, caused heartbreak for us, what our reactions were as a result of that. When we dive down into it through meditative practices in a way that is compassionate, like this person's not in any kind of threatening situation. There's flowers around. It's like a beautiful scene, right? When we take this time to be beautiful with ourselves, to let ourselves feel our feeling, feel our heart, we can get to the essence of then what the common thread is between what feels like, why do I always get my heart broken, right? Or why is this hurt always there? And then we start to, like, if we start to ask our heart, are you communicating with your heart through meditation, like through quiet reflection? When we do that, there's a common thread that keeps kind of popping up. We see the common reflection of the external things that maybe are seemingly the cause, and we actually start to let go of those details of the who's, the what's, the when's, the where's, the why's. And what actually starts to come up is, again, oh, well, I felt rejected, and or I felt sad and I didn't know how to express it. I felt angry and then I reacted this way. And then you start to get to understand yourself a little bit more. You'd be like, oh, I'm doing this when this thing happens. Well, why am I doing that? And you can start to ask it through this like intellectual path of, you can turn this again, very swords like, into a path of inquiry. And what this is very self-loving. Because if you can do it without bludgeoning yourself, as I talked about with that Two of Wands card yesterday, like we don't going into these like places of reflection and then seeing like, oh, I've been doing that, and then taking those wands and beating yourself up with them, never helpful. I've definitely been that person, right? You too, right? But now let's start to use things a little more intelligently. So swords are also intelligence, information. But how do we use the information? Can we use it in a neutral way? Can we use it in a very peaceful way? She's just placing this. She's not stabbing it in. She's placing it on her heart. How have my thought processes blocked my heart? Let's use, like, again, so one of the things that came up for me after last night's reading was a quote by Marcel Proust. I wrote it down, actually. It reminded me of yesterday's reading. It was that Seven of Swords at the end showed me that what those heavy things maybe feel so heavy with that woman in the Ten of Wands, mainly because you got to change your perspective. You got to change your attitudes. You got to change your eyes. What is it? The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Now she's got her eyes closed. So maybe we do need to close our eyes. Take that break, which I absolutely encouraged when that Ten of Wands card turned up. Close our eyes. No more information. Let me just hear me. Let me hear what's real. And when we do cultivate these practices, we are better able to drive forward toward our goals. Knowing that sometimes we're going to have setbacks. Knowing that it's a journey. It's not a sprint. It never is. I said this to a friend, we're like, I said relationships, we always say in theory, relationships, we have to work at them, blah, blah, blah. But in the reality of doing, a lot of people are surprised by that. And then we get off the rails. But to be in connection with ourselves and then thus one another requires actually doing practices that cultivate and put you in touch with your own spirit. And then this is a card of Cancer, and it's the 7th card of the Major Arcana. Sorry, it's kind of glary. There you go. Seven is the card of Spirit. Card of number of Pisces. We hear our own spirit when we take the time to go within. When we take the time to ask ourselves questions. Journal. When we take the time to ask one another questions in a neutral way. Not in a way where swords are out. So do we have another card? So this is basically a continuance and an advancement. And another thing that came up for me from yesterday's reading was that that 7 of Swords is a card of theft. It's a card of being on the take. And I talked about this. I actually, if you look back and go see the Instagram posting for last night's reading, I in between of waiting for this video to process. So here we go. The sun. Oh, it's so bright. Like I have to wear, there we go. It's great. I talked about this. There was this email that came up from Thought From Today by a group out in the UK. And it's about being on the take. It was all about that 7 of Swords. Well, we're on the take all the time, and we're never going to be settled and relaxed when we're not like going back to basics, when we're not, instead of loving the things that we have in our life, we're burdened by them, by that, like that lady was. And instead, and let's get back to basics, like the kind of naked guy on the lion corn, and just be happy with our cats, be happy with that. He was fine. He was on the precipice of something, but there was nothing threatening going on. There was no reason to worry, aside from he's thinking about what he might want to do with some stuff, want to figure things out. Going back to basics, being in that place of safety rather than distress, like that woman was clearly distressed, and being grateful. Being grateful for the things that we've brought in. And if you can't find gratitude, if you can't find that perspective, well, that definitely means that you need to take a step back, a step down or whatever, or just, or I don't know, do something that gives you a little perspective that's not done in a resentful Seven of Swords kind of way. Again, saying, I'm really grateful for all of this. I feel a little overwhelmed by things, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm very vulnerable right now. I'm very worn out. I don't know what to do here. Like admitting that's where we're at. I haven't been really good at that, and I've done some really kooky stuff as a result. But, I'm saying that. I hope that resonates with somebody. But we learn, and we learn better ways of learning that lesson and interacting with people that don't result in hurtful things to ourselves, and certainly, are much kinder toward others. So, and result in things like the sun. Hello, this is one of the best cards in the deck. Another major arcana. So when we're doing things like this, taking that contemplative time, taking that step back, like figuring out what we do appreciate rather than constantly being in defense mode and then doing some really kooky things, if we're taking this time, if we're cultivating these types of practice to listen to ourselves, our needs, our wants, and to, learn other ways of taking good care of ourselves. This is a sign of Cancer. This is a very nurturing card. Learning how to be in self-leadership, in self-nurturing, rather than running around trying to, buy a bunch of stuff to now you're so weighed down with all your crap that you got to have an estate sale or something like that. You know what I mean? You have to, now you're in that place of where you've got to figure, you're going through a grieving process because you got to figure out what's got to go and what's going to stay. So anyway, again, this is a card of Cancer is a sign of nurturing yourself, of taking good care of yourself, knowing when you need to, when you're emotionally high tide and you need to step back from something, and doing it in a way that isn't like peace out, Seven of Swordsy, or resentment, or building up resentment. We want to live. This is the card that's coming in. The sun. We want to be all together in the sun. And I don't know what he's riding. He's riding like a peacock. I can't even. Sun is the 19th card in the deck in the major arcana. These are major themes. So when we are taking this time to be contemplative, to take care of ourselves, and this put us in a better position to take care of other people, because we can't come to stuff empty. Bottom of the deck, Page of Pentacles. The new opportunities come in to learn, and this is on the material plane. We start to see some different options. We start to learn things from, we get information about different opportunities. And again, we're going to take some time to consider, like this page isn't just running off willy-nilly. Sometimes the Page of Pentacles can be kind of playerish energy because there's so many different options, and I'm going to do everything. I'm going to learn about this. I'm going to learn about that, and you, and you, and you. No, that's not what's happening here. Not with this particular depiction of the page. This one's curious. This brings openness. This is the grounded curiosity. And Pentacles move slow because it's the 3D. It's stuff on this plane, not on some other plane. Doing it all under the light of the sun. The warmth of the heart. This is the card of Leo. This is the card of the heart. This is our heart speak. Take the time to nurture yourself, to neutralize the thoughts to neutralize it, being okay with saying my thought processes may be faulty. That's okay. Put yourself in a safe space to accept that truth, swords, that possible reality, that maybe everything I thought is not quite what it seems. And I've been buying into something, I don't even know why. But I'm going to start trying, I'm going to choose a different way, going back to that Two of Wands. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, or direct message me. If you want your own reading, direct message me. Like, subscribe, whatever. I'll post this version of the video to YouTube. I will record a different one. I have to record a shorter version of this for Instagram, because it's a shorter format, that they only allow shorter format. So, and although I didn't really pull all the cards, I'm so sorry. Like I said, I had to kind of re-record this, but I didn't want to then throw these cards out. That's not what we're doing. So, anyway, go there. If you, anything, if there's someone somewhere you think needs this message, send it to them whenever. It doesn't matter when you see it. When you see it is when you see it. When you hear it is when you hear it. And always remember that tarot is just messages. It's meditations on imagery. It's thinking about stuff. It brings up stuff for you. It's just another way of meditating. And it's not something to be feared. It's not something that's predicting the future. If the cards or the messages make you feel fearful or anxious for any reason, again, that's a great thing to write down and journal about. Well, why is that card? I used to be afraid of like the Queen of Swords. Anyway, I talked to my daughter about that. That's a different story. But the Queen of Swords and I are friends now. But yeah, like I used to be freaked out about my own readings, because I thought it was, I was taking it very literally rather than the signposts. Now, these are definitely big themes that are being affected. We are encouraged to be taking steps back, and making these types of practices. So, or cultivate, or maybe stepping up those types of practices if you already have them. But yeah, ask me any questions that you want. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Take good care. I'll come back and do a reading when I'm able. We'll talk soon.